most welcome in this particular class. Right now we are going to discuss about project life cycles. So on this one we're going to discuss about steps for effective project management. So those are some of the things that we're going to discuss in this particular at this particular moment. Okay, if we're talking of project life cycles, in the very first one that we have in our life cycle, it is what we call initiation, or what we call initiation phase. So the first phase in project life cycle, it is initiation. So the purpose for initiation, this is where you identify the problem and set clear goals. So this is where now a project is starting. So you are trying to identify the project, the problem, and set a clear goal. Because one thing that we need to understand is that without a problem, there cannot be a project. A project comes to address a certain problem. So for you to find it is during the initiation phase. Right. So key activities which are done is where identifying the problem, as we have already said. Then you set a clear measurable goals. Then you create a basic project outline, including a baseline survey. So it's just a survey for trying to identify the problem. For example, you are trying to have a campaign where you are planting trees. So for example, you might say the goal is to plant 10,000 trees in 1 year. So you can see it is measurable in the sense that you are giving a specific number, for example 10,000, and it is having even a timeline of 1 year. Right. Okay. Number 2 in our project cycle, we have got planning phase. We have got the planning phase. So on this one, the purpose for planning is to develop a detailed plan for achieving our goal. So you have your goal, then using that goal, you need to come up with a plan. So activities which are done in planning is when you are trying to assign roles and responsibility. So as we already said in our introduction, to say in project management or during a project, there are a lot of stakeholders or a lot of people who are involved. So you are trying to give them roles and responsibilities, which each of those particular people or stakeholders is going to partake. Then you create timeline for tasks. So each task during planning phase is given timeline. For example, this one is going to be done for 2 days, 1 week, a year, or so. Right. Number 3 is to prepare budget for materials and labor. So you're trying to come up with a budget, right? So you do budget breakdown and the like. This is at this particular moment. Another one is where you're trying to identify risk and create backup plans. So in planning, you are trying to foresee, to say what are some of the possible risks which can come as we'll be executing this particular project. So then once you try to foresee those particular risks, then you try to come up with plans on how you're going to deal with those risks, or you try to come up with a plan on how you can try to escape those particular risks. Right. For example, we are on planning. You can have a planning, let's say a wedding. Then on planning, you try to plan for a venue. You try to book somebody who will be giving, who will be doing the issues of catering. Right. Then you try to come up with a budget and so on. Okay. From there, we have got execution phase. So on execution phase, this is where now you are coming now on the actual ground to do the actual work. You are done planning, now you need to go on the ground to do the actual work. So this is where we are saying it, a complete plan task to achieve the goal. So on this one, you are trying to manage the team and the resources because you are now on the ground. So you are now working with the resources as well as people. So you are doing the actual work on on the ground. So for example, a builder is now starting constructing a house. You are done now planning, now you are doing the actual building on the ground. From there, we are now going to where we are talking about monitoring phase. Monitoring phase. So on monitoring phase, the purpose for monitoring is to track the progress and solve the problem. So on monitoring, monitoring is happening as execution is in progress. So like you are trying to execute that particular project is on the ground. So now you are coming in to say what are some of you are now coming in to say is whatever we planned, are we achieving whatever we planned? So now you are trying to do that one to say we have our plan and we're executing on the ground. So are we executing the plan, or maybe we are off track? So that is the process of now monitoring, right? So this is where you are trying to find out if whatever your plan is really what you're doing on the ground. Okay, from there we have got another last phase, that is a closure. So that is the closing phase. That's the last phase. Okay, so on this on the closure, on that one is where now the project is finished. It's where the final product now is delivered. So when you are delivering the during this particular phase, that is where you are trying to review successes. What are some of the successes that were there during your whole process? Then are there some room for some improvement, for further improvement? That is the time. So for example, if you are trying to do a project of planting, let's say 10,000 trees, this is now you come and say how many have survived, right? Then you're saying what would be now the way forward? How are we going to care for these particular trees? This is now the phase. So let's talk about the importance of this project life cycle. What is the importance of it, or why life cycle matters? What's the importance? The number one, it is organization. Number one, it keeps team on track because you have got something that you are following. So you are always on track because you have got that life cycle which you are supposed to follow. So you are always on track. Number two, everyone knows their roles. Life cycle helps each player to know the role, his or her role, as the project is taking place. Another one, it is risk management. So you, as we already said, that once you're having project life cycle, you are sure of the project life cycle that you are you're trying to undertake. That by the end of the day, you'll be able to know, you'll be able to foresee the risks which are likely to happen. So because of that one, you'll be able to handle them even before they occur. Another one, it is efficiency. On that one, we're talking of the use of resources efficiently. So once you know that particular project life cycle, so the project life cycle helps you to use resources effectively. So you be using a particular resource for a particular work. You not just be doing things anyhow. So that is the importance of project life cycle. Right. Then here we have got the diagram itself. So the first one, you can see it is initiation or initiating. Then from there you come to planning. From there you come to execution or executing. Then from there we are having monitoring and control. From there I've got closing. Then the cycle starts again. Cycle, planning, executing, monitoring, closing. Thank you so much.